Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I have a vlog, where we're going to talk about stuff. I'm going to talk about the truth of unbiased reviews. I like to watch reviews. You like to watch reviews. A lot of people like to watch reviews because it's a good way to be able to see how something works and how good something is before we put out our hard-earned money and buy something for ourselves. And I was listening to a TED Talk the other day, and it just immediately blew my mind because I had had the same experience regarding art supplies. And today's topic is about how all video reviews are a little bit biased because we're people and we have different perspectives and we're in different moods when we review things, and it's just really hard to be machine-like and completely unbiased. So the TED Talk that I was listening to talked about how somebody can be on vacation and they have a delicious glass of wine and they decide they're going to buy a few bottles to take home to their friends. And they bring those bottles home and they're raving about the wine, and they give it to their friends, and then they all take a drink and they're like, oh, that's not as good as I remembered. And it's because when you're on vacation, you were relaxed, you were having a good time, the wine tasted better, you're probably outside, beautiful tropical weather, and you were in a better frame of mind or a different perspective. So everything that you did during that vacation seemed a little epic and a little awesome. I have experienced that same thing with art supplies. I was very excited to try out some paints a couple months ago. I had ordered them on Amazon because a bunch of you guys had requested them, and they were I think they were the Mungio paints. They were that set of 48 Mungio paints for like $50. And I was very excited because 48 colors for 50 bucks, it's just over $1 a color, beautiful tin. I just couldn't wait to try them out. I was excited. And that same day, a show I was excited to watch on Netflix had just dropped, and I had some free time to play with the paints and watch a show, and I hunkered down on the couch, had a nice big cup of tea. I had my swatch cards all stamped out. I was watching my show. I was swatching my paints. I was having the time of my life, and those paints just seemed fabulous. I was like, oh wow, this is awesome. I am so happy these are good paints because everyone's been asking about them, and I'll be able to give them a good review, and everyone's going to be happy, and I can use an affiliate link because that's how reviewers make money. They put affiliate links down. If the product's any good, people can buy the product, and usually they can earn some money if it's, something that they, can buy online. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I was really excited. I was like, these colors are so super bright. They look beautiful. The tin is cute. Life is good. So the next day, or maybe a couple days later, I decided I was going to do a painting with them, because the way I do my reviews is I do a swatch, and then I do a painting or two. I use them for a bit, get used to how they perform in different applications. Like I might do a full-size painting, might do a watercolor card, I might use it with some stamping supplies, use it with other things, and see how it really behaves. So I was doing a painting a couple days later, and granted I might have been a little annoyed because there was construction going on outside of my house, so I was hearing all of that. But anyway, this painting was not going how I planned, and I was not impressed with the paints, and I would try to do a glaze and it would lift up what was underneath, and I was so aggravated, and I was like, darn it, these are not great paints, and now I have to give them a terrible review because they're not doing what I expected them to do after being so excited the first time I swatched them out. So I was just bummed out. I felt just, I was so frustrated with that paint. And so then a couple days later, I was like, well, I need to do a review. I'm going to start comparing it to other paints that are very similar. So they were the Mungio paints, so I was comparing them to the Prima and the Jane Davenport paints, and swatching them out. And then I was also comparing them to some other 48 palettes, like the Master's Touch palette, which is about the same price, just to kind of get a good apples to apples price point comparison, and also a comparison of paints that I think are actually made in the same factory. And then the more I was using it there, I'm like, these really aren't that bad. I mean, they're very similar to the Prima. They almost seem identical to the Prima and the Jane Davenport palettes. In fact, I found direct matches and pigment matches for the first 3 sets of the Prima colors. So it's like, okay, I've gathered a lot of information. I can do this review now. I can give people the straight deal, like what is this paint about? What's it going to be similar to? Should you buy it? Should you not? And basically my conclusion was the paint's all right. It's not going to blow your mind. It's not going to be great for glazes, but if you like the Prima paints, you're going to like these. But if you already have the first 3 sets of Prima paints, you're going to have all duplicates. So, you don't want to double buy something you already have, and I probably wouldn't go out and spend that much money on that paint when there's so many other options. So I knew I wasn't going to make any money on that review, but that's okay because I really believe that honest reviews are really important because I want you to trust me and I want you to not waste your money. But then again, somebody down the street could get that same set of paints. They may have never tried any of those other paints. They may not have any artist watercolors. They might try that and they might think that paint is the best thing since sliced bread. So you have to look at the reviewer's perspective. What other paints have they used? What type of artwork do they do? And you have to kind of keep that stuff in mind as you are listening to a review to see if it's going to benefit you. There are a lot of beautiful watercolorists out there that love using handmade watercolors. They love the muted soft palette, the granulation, and the fact that it's made in small batches from an artisan. I am not crazy about handmade watercolors. I prefer the tried and true paints that are consistent from art supply companies that have been doing this for hundreds of years, and I like a more saturated color. So if there was a new set of handmade artisanal watercolors and I reviewed it, you probably would want to get some other opinions because already I am kind of biased against this type of paint. I'm not one to use this type of paint. Typically, I haven't had the experience comparing it to a bunch of other paints in that ilk, so you definitely want to mosey onto somebody else's channel and who typically paints with handmade watercolors and get a more broad scope. However, if you know I like Lindsay's tutorials, I like to paint like Lindsay does, I like the same kind of colors that she does, by seeing that review done by me, you'd say, okay, I probably wouldn't like those either just because I prefer these other colors. But it's always a good idea to see what other people are saying. Now, another thing that you might want to consider about unbiased reviews is sponsored reviews. I'm seeing that a lot lately. And I mean, I've been approached many times by companies that want me to review their products. And if you guys haven't requested them, I say no thank you. And sometimes they offer to pay me to review their products. And I personally don't take money for reviews. And most of the reviewers that I know also do not, because it puts you in a very gray ethical area. The reason for that is if a company is paying you, they're looking to advertise their product. And if they're paying you to advertise their product and you're saying things that aren't so great about their product, which you have to do if there are those qualities in that product, then it's not helping them. It's not helping you. Well, it might be it is helping your viewers, obviously, if you're reviewing this product, but if your viewers didn't care about that product to begin with, it's not really helping them either. So I just say no to sponsored reviews, but I am seeing a lot of those online, especially with kind of a younger generation of YouTubers, which I just don't know how you could be completely honest reviewing a product if you're being paid to. I mean, I put affiliate links in my reviews if it's applicable. It isn't always. Some companies don't have affiliate programs, or I might not be in them. I don't really worry about that too much, but just know that if there's an affiliate link in somebody's review, if you buy it, they are earning some money, and you can decide whether you want to give that review a little less weight. You might want to take it with a grain of salt if you know they're going to earn money if you purchase that product. The same thing if you know a company has given a product to somebody. Now, I do not think legally a reviewer has to disclose if they've been given a product for free when they review it. I do, just because I would want to know, if I was watching a review from somebody else, I would want to know that you were given that product for free versus you went out and bought it with your own money. Because I think if you purchase an expensive product, you may be a little more critical of it. Even though you're trying not to be, you still might be a little more critical of it. Just like if you buy something on sale, you might be less critical of it. It's like, well, I only paid $20 for it. So, it's worth what I paid for it. So I think it's important to know these things. So when people don't disclose that, I feel like maybe they're not telling me the whole story. So if they say, I bought this for $40, or this company gave this to me, but it retails for $40, that I just would want to know that. So I make sure I tell you that. I don't think it clouds people's judgment if they've been reviewing for a long time, because you get so many offers. It's not about the free product. You'll be swimming in free product before long if you do a lot of reviews online, but I think it's still important to know. I know that there's been times where I've reviewed a product and it's like, this product would be great if it cost $20 less, but for the price you're asking, it's really not it's really not worth it in my opinion. And I've said that as well. So I think that it's really difficult to have unbiased reviews sometimes just because of that. But I think most people are doing their best to be unbiased. That's why I will swatch something and use it a few times before I do a review on it, because my opinion can change the more that I use something. But when somebody's doing a sponsor review, I would definitely maybe give it a little bit less weight than somebody that's gone out and paid money for the product that they're reviewed. They're just something to think about. So that's why I give you that information. Another thing is that you may think kindly upon a brand that you're reviewing, and that could taint a review also. So for instance, I don't think I've ever actually reviewed my M-Gram watercolors, and that's really funny because if somebody asks me what's your favorite watercolor, I usually say M-Gram, and I have this very warm spot in my heart for M-Gram because they were the first professional watercolors I ever purchased, and that was way before YouTube, and going up from using the cotton paints I was using prior to that, they were just like, whoa, a huge step out and just amazing, and I had so much fun playing with them, and they were the first. And your first watercolors, or your first of any supply, I think, are always seem a little bit more precious and special and intense. So I think it would almost be a little unfair for me to review them. And also, I've had interactions with that company, and they're very nice people. So the customer service, the interactions I have might make me think a little more favorably of a product than it actually was if I was just watch it down by like 50 other brands or whatnot. So I'm just saying this to let you know that it can be very difficult, even with reviewers and their best intentions, to be completely unbiased, because you're going to factor in all of these different things, because we're people. We're not just computers that are checking boxes and putting, this paint against that paint, against that paint, against that paint. There are websites that do that. Handprint is one. I think they're very critical, but I think they're probably quite unbiased. But one of the reasons I also wanted to make this video is that I was on Amazon the other day, and usually, you get those, you order something, you get an email, and Amazon says, would you like to review this product? And I usually do, because I find reviews helpful. So if I've actually used it by then I usually will do a review just so I can help the next people, because pay it forward, because I've been helped by all the other reviews that I've read. I don't get anything for reviewing. I don't earn a commission or anything if I review a product on Amazon, but if I've used it and it worked great, or if I used it and wasn't compatible with what I was using, then, I want to put that out there. Well, anyway, I was looking at my list of reviews, and I was like, wow, am I enthusiastic? And then so I was kind of thinking, geez, am I that enthusiastic about everything? That doesn't seem like I'd be a very fair reviewer if I'm that enthusiastic about everything. And then it occurred to me that the things that you are asked to review on Amazon are things you already have purchased. So by the time I purchase something, because I'm pretty tight with the buck, I've already researched it pretty well and made sure that it was worth spending my money on. So no wonder all of those reviews were very enthusiastic, because I'd already researched them to death before I actually bought the thing. Or I'm so darn surprised that this cheap thing worked that, I want to review it. Like, there was I bought a new camera, the camera that I'm filming today on. Hello people of my new camera. Like, you're different people. This is what, it's a Panasonic Lumix, by the way, G7, I think. And I had my husband do all the research, because I find that just like totally, I don't like to research technical things. And I actually was able to use it right out of the box, so I gave it a good review. But I said, hey, I'm no professional. I was able to use it right out of the box. There's certainly tons more that I could do with it, but I'm able to film, and yay for that. And then I needed a battery for it, because I realized shortly after getting it that I would want one to swap out so I wouldn't have to wait until, to film again, because I film quite a bit. And this battery was like $10, because I certainly wasn't going to pay $30 for a replacement Panasonic brand battery. So when I bought it and it charged up quickly and it actually worked and didn't damage my camera, I wanted to review that so other people would know. But, looking down through my list of reviews, I'm like, holy cow, like everything's got 4 or 5 stars. What am I, crazy? But it's because I've researched everything before I've purchased it. But I thought that was really interesting, and I thought this might give you a good perspective if you're often watching reviews online and you don't know what you should believe, what you shouldn't believe, and also how we can also be biased and not really realize it. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it gives you a little perspective. I've noticed that that lately, the last couple of years, I review a lot of products, and a lot of watercolors in particular. And the differences between these watercolors are so minute that somebody that's only painted, you know, for a year or two might not even notice a difference between a couple brands. It might be down to this tin is cuter than that tin. And I just want to make sure that the people aren't thinking they need to have every single thing that gets reviewed out there, or they should get totally excited about every new thing that comes out. I have never seen in my life a time when there are so many cheap materials, I mean inexpensive, not cheap like crappy, but cheap like inexpensive, flooding in the market. And something I have noticed so much lately is that it's the same thing from different companies. I mean, literally, there are a dozen factories overseas that are making 90% of what you're buying. So it's all coming out of the same few factories. So you can very easily buy the same thing many times over and not even realize it. It's like doing a blind taste test. I bet you could give palettes from different companies that are made in the same factory to artists, and they could paint with them, and they could have vastly different opinions on the quality of each. It could just be they liked the color selection better, or this one had their favorite color, or this tin was cuter. And they're not intentionally saying that, they're not intentionally giving a biased review, but we're people and we have preferences, and it's really hard to overcome that. So bottom line, when you're researching a product, get a few opinions and see other things that that reviewer likes. If you're hopping on this channel and you've never watched a video of mine before, and you're interested in watercolor, maybe look at some of my watercolor paintings. See if we have the same style. If you prefer some other artist's style, you might want to look and see if they've reviewed that product too, because they may have a more appropriate review for you, something that's going to be better for the way you like to work. If you are, like, there's been times where I've seen products come out for card makers, and card makers rave about these products, but they've never used like a high-end watercolor before, but it's suiting their needs just fine, and their cards are beautiful they're making with it. So I personally don't want to review that product because I don't want to poop on somebody's party who is liking this product and it's meeting their needs, just because it's not necessarily up to par with some of these other paints. They generally aren't as expensive as those other paints. So, you know, I try to stay out of reviewing certain products, and I think that probably my audience already has something better than, and I don't want to, I have no ill will towards the company that put this out. It's, you know, they put it out for specific reasons, and those reasons are not reasons that I'm looking to explore. I hope that makes sense. Hope it doesn't sound like snotty or anything. But there it is. There it is. We're people. It's hard to be unbiased. But I do my best. I do my best to be completely unbiased in my reviews, going to lengths of, you know, sometimes spending a long time with each product before I review it. But hopefully it's valuable to you, and hopefully you do kind of get a few opinions before you choose to purchase something. That's another reason if a company does offer me a product to review and it's something you've requested, I do try to review that, because you know, that could save your money. If you see me use it, or you see what comes in a kit, or, you know, you might say like, okay, yeah, I guess it's not really worth $30. I think I'll pass. And sometimes I'll go out and buy something if enough people request it, because, you know, me wasting $50, I can avoid like 100 people wasting $50 if it's something that's really popular like that. You know, I just want to put out good information, I guess. And art supplies are just so hard to quantify, because there's so many biases and personalities and preferences that go into creating and what you like to work with. So yeah. There really are no completely unbiased reviews, because we all have biases, but I would just try to stay away from reviews that are sponsored, and just know what the reviewer has to gain by you purchasing a product after you watch it. And I think you'll get some really good information that way. And yeah, that's it. I've rambled for long enough, so thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.